Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 once again. And this is actually the continuation of the first three races that I uploaded last week, where this was an event that I was invited to by a group of very fast drivers on PlayStation. And the competition was that whoever won the 9 races, I think it is, in the 5 lappers with one-shot quali, whoever won that would then win a cash equivalent prize, if I can speak, which is the same as purchasing an F1 22 Championship Edition. So basically, you're getting a free game if you choose to spend your money on that, of course. But speaking of other competitions, Bybit, as I mentioned on my Instagram a few days ago, are launching a huge competition. It's actually the final day today, and you have the opportunity to win F1 paddock passes for this upcoming Silverstone Grand Prix. Not only paddock passes, but also a secret lab gaming chair and also official Bybit merchandise. All you have to do to enter that, it's the last day today, is go down to the link in the description, which is probably my pinned comment, and the minimum donation you have to put on the Bybit website is $10, and that is it. And there's not just going to be one winner. As I said, there are going to be multiple winners of each prize. So if you want to step foot in the F1 paddock this year, then this might be one of your best opportunities to do that. So good luck with everyone for the rest of the day, because today is the final day for that. But moving back to this, you can see we've kind of bottled our one-shot qualifying app here. And as I said in the previous videos, one-shot quali is typically probably around 2 to 3 tenths slower than a short quali or full quali. See, we do a 29.1. CPI Robbie, once again, I think he's got pole almost every race so far, dips into the 28s. So he is incredibly fast, and that has actually put us back into P8. So we've got 5 lights here. Let's see if we can maintain our championship lead, as a couple of guys ahead of us went quite early, which is actually sometimes quite difficult not to react when they react. So we did quite well to be disciplined there. Went back just a little bit, but now we've got back up into and almost got sliced out in front, and now we're up into P7. So we've actually made up one position. We've got to try and go down the inside of this Red Bull if we can, and we're going to leave him some room on the inside just in case he tries to hang it there, which he does. But then we're up into P6, so managing to navigate the chaos quite nicely there, and now we're up into P6. But there are a couple of guys ahead of us who did jump the gun just a little bit. So now we're just going to sit tight and just try and play this race smartly, because I think the title of this video will be pretty much along the lines of, don't actually need to be the fastest driver to win races, or to be the person who's consistently winning the races the most over a league racing season, or even when it comes to F1 esports. And I think a great example of that would be Mr. Jarno Opmeer, who of course is a bit of a freak, an alien on these games. But in F1 esports, I think there are a couple, if not a few, drivers who have a better average qualifying record than him throughout the series, yet he's won it 2 years in a row. And I think the reason for that is that he just probably drives the smartest, or not probably, I think he does drive the smartest out of everyone, knowing when to push. And the example of that there is knowing that we had to attack that Red Bull. We got some good momentum on the exit of that corner, but then there are other moments where you do need to be a bit more conservative as well, and that isn't just with the overtakes, but that's also with how you manage your ERS, managing your tyres, your tyre wear and tyre temperatures. And that's why I think quite consistently when you see competitive drivers or competitive leagues, or even just online lobbies, I think a lot of people have pace, especially in esports. Of course, the 20 drivers there could realistically lap within a tenth of each other on their PB, but it's the ones who drive the smartest who get the
Yellow flag.
consistently better results. So that's something I want to hopefully people can take forward just in the next game. Obviously having the raw pace is good as well, but knowing when to pick your moments, knowing how much ERS to save, being disciplined as well, not always trying to push it 100% all the time, because doing that will more likely give you more mistakes, but it's also kind of putting you in the wrong driving habits where you're just pushing all the time, and sometimes it's good to push 90% and know when to give that extra 10%.
Okay, DRS
but you can see here now we're up into P5, so we've done quite well. And the guy in P3 has a drive-through penalty who's made a bit of a mistake here. So
about 3/10 a lap.
This is another example of it where I'm not going to be really in too much of a rush to overtake these guys, because Razorback doesn't have the DRS to the two leaders of Robbie and the other guy who I can't pronounce, who's always in the top 3 as well. So you can see here we're not using any of the ERS at all, because I'm thinking about trying to get the fastest lap and maybe try and get within the leaders on the last couple of laps. But you can see his red light was flashing it there. So on the exit of this corner, we actually do go for it, because we know we're going to have so much more straight line speed. His red light is flashing now. We've got about 50% more ERS in him, and as we saw Spain in a straight line, you're just gaining a ton of time. So playing that quite strategically there. And now we are behind CPI Razorback, which pretty much the same thing again. We are going to try and overtake him as efficiently as we can, and then save as much ERS for the last lap in order to maybe set the fastest lap, or to get back within the DRS of the leaders and maybe even make an overtake on the top 2. So you can see we're not using any of the battery going on to the start of the lap, so we're going to let him drag us along, as the leaders were just very shortly going side by side there, trying to get a good exit through here. But he actually gets a really good run through this section, and I was really hoping that he wasn't going to get the DRS of the cars up ahead. This is the point where we really do need to close in, which we've done quite well through this section. So we've got to try and get a really good exit, which we do get quite a good exit. He doesn't have the DRS on the cars up ahead, and we decided not to use the battery. But looking back at this, I think I should have used just a little bit of battery. I just wanted to have full deployment for the last lap, so he goes and actually fights this quite a lot, and yeah, not really that much room given there at all. He went over the white line, so I think we were entitled to just a little bit of room. Was a little bit frustrated there, but I think I should have just used a bit more of the ERS. However, I was just thinking a lot more in terms of using all the deployment possible for the last lap, just in case there was a hint of a chance of winning this race.
Issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
And I was checking the vehicle damage there, because damage is actually turned on in this lobby. It's actually was set to full, so I was quite fortunate not to get any damage there. But I know Razorback, with his red light, is going to be struggling quite a bit, so we're going to take advantage of it now. Red light is probably going to flash as we overtake him. There's nothing that he can do, and the gap is about 1.3 seconds. So if we can get a good first sector and then coming through into here, they actually go side by side, so we are definitely going to be within the DRS zone, and we still have quite a bit of ERS to play with as well. So if they're low on ERS, we could have a really good opportunity. We've actually come from 8th place in this race as well, so trying to get a really good exit. But we are the third man in the notorious third man in this DRS train, which is where you don't want to be. So we turn off the ERS here because we aren't in a position to make an overtake into here. So we're going to let these guys try and go side by side through here, but Robbie actually lets him go. And coming off the exit of this corner, we're going to be using all of our ERS now. And let's see how much Robbie has. His red light is actually flashing, so you're about to see once again the power of saving ERS. We actually go around the outside here, but I think maybe the inside would have been a better option. The leader's ERS is also running red as well, and they're coming around through here, being squeezed just a little bit. We're going to go down the inside of Robbie, who does gives us just about sufficient amount of room. And with the ERS, we're going to get this move done into P2, but then coming into this last corner, it's quite a popular overtaking spot, so we go a bit defensive here, trying to get a good exit. We know we have the ERS to defend with, and we've gone from a P8 to P2 and actually beating my nearest championship rival. So we've actually extended the championship lead despite our starting position. So I was quite happy of that, and I think it was a fairly good example of it's not always about the speed, it's about where you position yourself on the track. But as we move into Austria, which is the next track, I was on quite a good lap here for one shot, so I was really happy with this. But then as we go through this penultimate corner, we did the inside quite well, but leaving the track a little bit too much. And going across the line, it's going to be a 3.664. What would that have been if that was valid? And that actually would have been pole, a 6.96 by Robbie. So we actually would have got our first pole position. But once again, starting not where we want to be, starting P13, and we actually get a pretty incredible start here. So a really good launch, but nowhere to go. So we let all the cars go. And we're just going to be quite patient here. So just letting the chaos unfold itself. We get 2 illegal overtakes, but
illegal maneuver.
I don't think I really could have done that much there. And I didn't really accelerate too hard around the outside. So we've actually made up 5 positions by just being patient. And I think, again, a lot of people just try and attack all the time.
Corner cutting.
But sometimes it's actually good to be patient and know when to actually hang back a bit. And that's why when I do open lobbies and when you see other experienced drivers do open lobbies, there's no real surprise that they always come through the field quite quickly. It's not always because of the pace, which obviously helps, but just knowing when to attack and when to be a little bit more conservative. And I think that was a fairly good example there. But we do pick up a 3-second time penalty, which was removed as well, because I don't think I gained really an advantage. I could have gone definitely faster around the outside there. So we're going to sit behind this guy called Speed Rafi or Ra F1. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but you can see here we're not going to attack him because there really is no point, because ERS is quite precious around this track. So we're just going to sit tight once again, because if I just attacked him there and he defended, it'd be very easy for him to counter that, and then I wouldn't have any ERS to defend with for the next few laps. So I'm just going to wait for the DRS here, because he doesn't have the DRS on the cars up ahead. So although we're going to lose a bit of time behind him, I feel I'll be gaining more of a benefit by waiting for the DRS itself. And you can see again, losing quite a bit of time here, but we don't want to put him under too much pressure, because I don't want him to be slow. I want him to try and drive as fast as he can. And you can see fast lap was a 1.4.9, and staying behind this guy we're doing a 1.6.3. But as we go into here, he actually just lets us go, which is quite frustrating. I didn't really show it on my face there, but it was a little bit frustrating. And now I have to actually push quite hard, because the DRS is very powerful around here, and he tries to go down the inside, but luckily we were just far enough ahead to stop him from doing that. And now we've got to try and give it everything to get in the DRS zone of the guy up ahead in the Mercedes who's fighting the McLaren. So knowing when to push once again. So this is the time to do it, because I need to get within this DRS zone. It's really crucial for my race, and try and break the DRS from the car behind as well, because I don't want to be wasting my ERS battling with him. And you can see we've managed to actually do it, so we don't have to use any ERS in this last sector. So again, we're just going to sit nice and tight, conserve the battery, and think about doing the fastest lap now. So that was what I was thinking, is we do the fastest lap of a 104.5. Coming into here, these guys go side by side, so one of these guys is not going to get DRS. Who is it? It's actually the Mercedes up ahead. So I knew I had to get past him here, trying to take the racing line. Is he going to try and attack us? Yes, he is. So we leave some room, a lot of room on the inside, make a little bit of contact on the exit, having to use the ERS once again. And is he going to go on the attack? Yes, it is. So we're leaving this room once again down this inside. But hopefully we get a bit more speed to go around the outside. And now we have done what we needed to do to get up into P3. So the gap is 5.4 seconds to the leaders. Let's see what it is towards the end of this race. And the good thing is that we still have quite a bit of ERS on board. So managing to save up once again. I was thinking about going for another fastest lap here. So it really depends what the leaders have. But we're going to push here now. Do 4.8 on that lap. Purple last sector. It's going through this turn 1. Really taking a lot of curb here. Using the ERS on the exit. And I think the guy behind does have the DRS. But he is just a bit too far away to be doing anything about it. Coming through into here. 0.03 down on our own fastest lap so far. Getting a really good exit. And I knew going through this last sector that there was actually quite a bit of time to make up as well. So coming through into here, managing to navigate this quite nicely, and you can see we've actually gained quite a bit of time on the leader. So gained about half a second on this lap. So really pushing it here. And if you look at my steering wheel, you can see the green delta just under the gear selection of what gear it's in. If that's green, that means you're actually up on your time. Going through this penultimate corner, we're taking our 3 corner cut warnings. So 3 of those is where you get an invalidation. And going across the line, what time do we do here? It's a 4.2, which is actually one of the fastest times I've done in a 5-lapper. So the pace was definitely there, but I think we managed to navigate through that traffic quite well. But now, as we go into the final race, or of this video at least, we still have another 3 to go after this. Robbie has gained a little bit of points back after that victory, because I think he did win there. And now we arrive at Spa, which is a track that I've usually had quite good success on, but in terms of pace, I have always struggled to be fairly consistent here. We're going for this first sector. We do a 30.3, which isn't really the best first sector. It's a sector that I've always seemed to struggle with quite a lot, which is only one turn really, which is turn 1, but I always seem to not really get a great exit. But going for this middle sector, we actually do this fairly well on this occasion. And now going through into Puon, do a tiny lift. Could have gone a little bit tighter there, but it's probably a 7 out of 10. Now going into this right left, trying to take a nice little apex, but again, car getting away from me, and really wanted to be getting over that curb on the left hand side. So again, probably lacking a bit of time here, and again, just wanted to be a bit tighter. So on these one-shot qualifying laps, since I've invalidated the previous 2, just playing a little bit more cautiously on this lap. And yeah, let's see what we can do. So just threading the car through the needle through here, and going into the final chicane. Really enjoy this sequence of corners, actually. Kissing this curb, and then also this one as well. Trying to avoid the curb on the exit, did that quite well. And going across the line, it's a 42.3, which I was actually quite satisfied with. But Robbie, once again, I think in qualifying, we've done 9 or 6 races so far. He's probably beaten me I think he's, well, apart from Austria, if we got that valid, but I think he's beaten me every single time in qualifying. It's 6-0 to him. So again, just shows you don't always need to be the fastest to be the most successful. It's all about consistency. If you can be consistent, consistency, obviously you need the raw pace as well, but consistency usually trumps raw speed and over 1 lap, which I think you see a lot with competitive drivers. But managed to get quite a good start here, and the goal is just to really again save as much ERS as we can and try and position our car nicely as we're going through into here. So the first lap, it's all about just trying to stay as close as we possibly can, and it looks like he's actually trying to break our DRS here, which is always quite a risky strategy around Spa, because if you expend all of your ERS, then it's actually quite hard for it to recover as well. So we're just going to use a little bit just to make sure we are going to stay within that crucial 1 second window, but you can see again, just not driving that consistently, getting a track invalidation, so a little bit of a sloppy first lap here. But what I'm looking at as I'm coming through here, I'm looking at the top left hand side of the screen to see when he stopped using his ERS, and I can see since I'm using mine, he's actually stopped using his, so that means I'm just going to turn off my ERS completely. That's something I always really pay attention to, looking at that live delta on the top left, to see if I'm gaining or not. If I'm actually gaining, then there is no point keeping on the ERS at all as we complete this first lap. Slotted in 6/10 behind, and yeah, we're pretty much exactly when we need to be. We can see we're going a bit deep again, so just making sure. So we're going to pay attention to the delta, and you can see we're actually gaining the time, so we're going to turn it off before here. Use the momentum, use the slipstream to keep carrying that momentum, and yeah, it's completely job done. But as we come through into here now, towards the end of lap 2, it's just all about maintaining the gap at this stage of the race. And once again, it seems to be the same top 3 almost every single time. And going across the line, he does the fastest lap of a 43.5. DRS has now been enabled, and the thought process here is that I just don't really want to be ahead of him at all. There is really no benefit being the car ahead around Spa, and sadly this is how we see a lot of esport and competitive league races as well. So you can see I've activated the DRS, but then I've actually turned it off and I've activated it again, so we're not really looking to overtake him at all. But as you come through into here, the back end was actually going out a bit slightly there, which indicates to me he's actually pushing quite hard, so his tyres might be a little bit more overheated than mine, which is something, and you can see again on the exit back corner, his back end was a bit all over the place. So I was pretty confident that I had a bit more of a stable setup than him as well, which I think was reflected in the qualifying result, where he had a bit more oversteer, a bit more grip. But in the race, if you push a bit too hard, then it can become a little bit difficult to drive. So we're going to do exactly the same thing again. As boring as it is, there's no benefit to overtaking here. If I overtook him here, then he's just going to sit behind me, and unless I have a gap of 9/10, it's going to be quite a comfortable DRS pass. So just going to sit behind him going into this last lap. But you can see here, we're just going to try and be close, but not too close, because I was anticipating that you probably didn't want to be the car leading into this last lap. So using a bit of the ERS, but we then do turn it off quite early, as the guy behind is about 7/10 behind, so isn't really a threat at this stage of the race. So coming through into the sequence, just trying to be as close as we can once again. But going through here, I didn't want to be too close going through into this turn 1. So as we go into this turn 1, yeah, just tries to do a dummy, but I think that's happened quite often now. But that has put me on side by side. He actually brakes, and then the guy behind, I don't know what happened to him there, but he actually broke in a straight line, which I think in esports would definitely be a penalty. But he actually has no choice, because he knows he's going to get past here. And yeah, unless he had a second gap, there was no way. So we're going to stay, we'll get ahead of him here. And the goal now is just to stay ahead. Was maybe trying to go for the fastest lap, which not quite sure what it was at this stage of the race. But I knew with the ERS I had on board as well, I didn't actually have to use that much going through the sort of sector. So using a bit here, but I knew I had quite a lot to play with going into the final chicane. And yeah, as long as we had the gap of about 4 or so attempts, then it's going to be quite difficult for him to pass us, since I'm not really going to be running out of ERS going into the final chicane at all. So coming through into here, we do a pretty good middle sector. It's almost level with our fastest lap, and the gap is about 4/10 of a second. Keep an eye on that delta. Let's see if we do pull away or not. And yeah, we just have quite a lot of the battery as well, so there really is nothing that he can do here. And I think we were actually gaining a bit of time in a straight line. He wasn't really gaining anything, so it looks like he's running quite low on the ERS. And the way he played that, managed to come across the line in P1 and extend our championship lead. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that once again. Make sure you enter the Bybit competition if you want to win an F1 paddock ticket, a secret lab gaming chair, and other merchandise. Make sure you enter that for that opportunity. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.